NATO was the dominant conversation piece last night when we saw U.S. representatives sitting down with Vladimir Putin. At least that is what the Kremlin aide is stating right now. And let's break this down because the number one thing that Russia is scared of right now is Ukraine joining NATO or NATO expanding completely. And it's a weird scenario we're part of because essentially NATO would never expand into where it is today if it wasn't for the Russian aggression. In the peace plan, at least the current version of it, it states that Ukraine can never join NATO, something that Ukraine wasn't even considering doing until, well, Russia invaded them. After discussing NATO, according to the Russian aide, the United States says that they will agree to, quote unquote, factor in the Russian positions. Something that Washington has not even confirmed. Heck, we actually really haven't gotten much information from Washington, D.C. about this meeting. Interestingly, the Kremlin says that another thing that they talked about is, well, the significant gains that the Russians have gotten since their last meeting, in which it doesn't really make much sense because going into the meeting that day, Russia had claimed that they had taken the Ukrainian city of Pokrovsk, something in which the only thing we have is Russians, too, running in, filming a video with a flag, and then running out, in which hours later we then got footage of Ukrainians nearby, which kind of those two they can't go together at the same time. Just as a reference note, right now the Russians either partially control or control about 19% of Ukraine. In the past 2 years, they've gotten less than 1%. And so Russia wants other land, the other side of where they're currently at. And if you look at the statistics, it would take them about 2 to 3 years to get that area. So why would Ukraine just kind of give that up in the peace talk, right? It's because of a lot of this back and forth that we've gotten to the point to where the Russians said that they're not willing to compromise. There's nothing there for them to compromise on because from what we're understanding, Russia is still sticking to exactly the same thing that they've been saying since the beginning. There has been no change, which is something that I hope that Donald Trump eventually takes note of, that, hey, you need to do more for Ukraine because clearly Ukraine is willing to compromise on things. Russia's not. You have to kind of bully Russia into essentially, you got to accept this or we're going to make you accept this. One little fun thing I want to add is the fact that we're still finding out that the Kremlin had asked the United States to not talk to Zelensky before going to Trump, which is very strange. A lot of us believe it's because they don't want, Ukraine to actually educate the U.S. before the U.S. kind of gives them this Russian manipulation story. That a meeting between Zelensky and Steve Witkoff was actually canceled. So the U.S. kind of kept that promise. But let me know what you think about all of this in the comment section below. It's going to be a crazy next few days with a lot of news coming out.